welcome to the Legislative Update. I'm John Banville. Our guest this week is Senator Joe Robach. Senator Robach, thank you very much for being here today.
Yeah, great to be here and have the opportunity to talk a little bit about issues going on here in the Capitol, John.
There has been a lot of activity this year. One of the things that we've discussed previously on this program was the fact that you passed a state budget early, and it eliminated a $10 billion deficit without raising a single penny in taxes.
Amen.
Which is something to be very proud of, and I can see where that would create a lot of momentum. However, session ends in June, and that's a lot of time to deal with other issues. Senator Robach, what issues do you see the legislature addressing before the end of this upcoming session?
Well, certainly, as you pointed out, the budget, critically important, impacts people in every way, both in terms of services, taxes, and you're right. I was clearly in the camp in driving that, we were at our taxing limit, that we needed to tighten our belt, just like working families, people on a fixed income, and businesses. So that was good. We have continued down that road in the Senate, which I am very happy because that's what I hear in my district. So we have also passed a bill that would really ensure in the future we would duplicate the direction we went in this year in the budget, where we actually cut $2 billion in spending, albeit out of necessity, that would cap state spending, which I think is very popular amongst the people I represent. And then we also even went in another direction to control spending and taxes and passed a property tax cap bill that's gotten much attention, and that 84% of New Yorkers say they favor some kind of cap or control on property tax cap. Along with that, we've looked very strongly at mandate relief and things we could do to make sure we're not pushing down costs to the local property taxpayer from Albany. So we've already done those things. I think some people have applauded very loudly for it. Certainly the Business Council and other business groups said the environment and direction is much more conducive now in New York for private sector job growth, which is very important. I want my children to be able to stay in Rochester area and find gainful employment, and I hope that for every family and every constituent I have. So those are good things. Some things we already done. We continue to work on a host of other issues as well, but clearly a lot of what we're focused on has to do with making that environment better for all New Yorkers and turning away from, I'll call it, the ways of the past, certainly the very, very large tax increases that were levied on us over the last 2 years when one party was in control of everything and New York City leaders were in charge of everything.
Senator Robach, I'd like to clarify some things for the viewers at home. The state Senate has passed a state spending cap. It has also passed a property tax cap, two things which many New Yorkers have called for. The governor has said he's in favor of a property tax cap. Why isn't there a property tax cap?
Clearly, in order for anything to become law, whether it's a budget, a piece of legislation, it has to pass the Senate, the Assembly in the same form, and then be signed into law by the governor. So we have the governor, the Democratic governor, who's in favor of it, the Senate, which is controlled by the Republicans, and right now is unfortunately too frequently the case on things that seem to be very popular for Rochester and upstate New York. We only have the Assembly, led by Sheldon Silver, needing to act on that bill. I think if it came to the floor, it would pass overwhelmingly, though I don't mean to be cynical. I'm very concerned that that may not happen, given the leadership in the Assembly's direction. I don't know, they almost act like it's a bad thing to somehow control taxes and spending. I think they're in a very different direction than the people in Rochester. But I hope that their members will be able to put pressure on them. I know Bill Rylick and many others are very much in favor of a property tax cap, and I hope, albeit Mr. Silver being from New York City, he can understand why that's important to us in upstate New York.
While one of the hot topics that have been discussed in Albany is because of the recent spikes in gasoline prices, making in upstate New York, having an automobile is not a luxury. It is a necessity of life. You have to have a car. You have to be able to put gas in that car. Are there any movements to help people afford to put gas in their automobiles?
Right. To say hot topic is an understatement. As we've tried to control spending, taxes, people are struggling in this economy. It's a little bit more challenging, and certainly gasoline, both for personal travel, business commutes. If you are involved in a business where you have to travel, obviously gasoline now going above $4 a gallon. Some people projecting much higher. I don't know if it was anecdotal, but I think I saw somewhere, might have been in California, where it's now already above $4.50 a gallon. It's important we do everything we can to have relief. And I know some people always think that it's posturing, but I remember in 2006 when gas went over up to $4.25 a gallon, not only did I get some national exposure, but a bill I had got incorporated for several months. We took the gas tax, or at least the sales tax portion of gas, which is 4 cents on the dollar. So if gas, just hypothetically, went to $5 a gallon, you'd be saving 20 cents on a gallon of gas if that tax was suspended. If you've got a 20-gallon fill-up vehicle, that's $4. That's significant savings, I think, in this economy. Everything we can do to save money. So I've joined on a bill to at least start by suspending the sales tax on gasoline during peak summer travel, and I think that would be of some relief to folks and something that people would be very happy to have a little assistance. Again, in this economy, in this business climate, every dollar really does matter. And so this is one thing we could do to help them. Then I also hope that both the economy, the marketplace, some of the policies of the federal government will help stabilize that cost as well. But really the only thing we could do at the state is control our small portion of the tax. But again, I've heard from many people that were very appreciative when we did it last time in 2006. If we can get everybody in the legislature to support it now, I think that would be very appreciative again. And then we all hope, even myself personally, who puts 35,000 miles a year on my car, I know the impact it has. Hopefully the price can come back down.
Well, it goes back to a philosophy of government that people can spend their money more wisely than government.
Right. You could actually say, when gas was at $3 a gallon, when it goes up to 5 cents, that's almost anticipated revenue coming into the state. I say, why take it? Let's give it back to the people if we can.
On our program, Senator, we have discussed several times children's safety, and very often it's been in the perspective of your program in Monroe County to help avert at-risk families. But one of the big issues in Albany has been texting while driving, which is it's a war on distracted driving.
Sure.
And this is a war that you've played a significant part in. Can you tell us what's been happening with the idea of banning texting while driving in New York State?
Technically today, texting while driving is already not legal. Unfortunately, what has happened, because all the focus has been on cell phones, a lot of, especially young people, that 16 to 24 plus crowd, really use texting as one of their main forms of communication, which is absolutely fine. Even plans now are more popular of unlimited texting for your cell phone. Everybody seems to have a cell phone virtually today. And that's fine. The danger comes is when people get behind the wheel and are texting. They've now said nationally that fatalities due to texting are approaching 16,000. We've had really tragedies of multiple people killed, young people, due to texting while driving. I certainly want to do everything I can to avoid that. And so what we've done is we have passed a bill in the Senate which does increase the fine a little bit, but that's really not what it's about at all, and it really isn't. It's not about extracting revenue in any way, shape, or form. It's letting people know it's equally as offensive, even more dangerous than talking on the phone, puts it on a even parallel, says to law enforcement they can stop if they see somebody moving and texting, which they couldn't do before, but they could do it if they were talking on the phone without a headset. And it puts a component into the driving curriculum in getting your testing for the young people to reiterate the dangers of driving while texting. And it really is true. In order to text, you have to take your eyes off the road. If you're going 50 miles an hour and your eyes are off the road just for 2 seconds, it's hundreds, it could be 100 feet of stopping. That in itself can be very damaging, if not fatal, to you or whoever you hit. So this really, really is, given the growing rise in fatalities, the amount of people texting of all ages, especially young people, to try and turn back, I don't know if I'd call it an epidemic, but this growing number of accidents and unsafe practices being utilized by people solely with the purpose of trying to deter people from being killed, or have it become the norm with a generation that think it's okay to text. I've actually had young people say to me, well, you know, I know you're not supposed to talk on the phone, so I only text when I'm driving. That actually studies, AAA, other groups, traffic safety institutes have done studies that show that's actually far more dangerous. Some people, there's actually a study that says taking your eyes off the road for more than a second is equally as dangerous, and maybe a little bit more even than driving, while at 0.10, the legal limit of being able to be arrested for drunk driving. So again, we as a society have to get it and say it's not okay, heighten the awareness, and really do this. There is nothing more tragic. If people succumb and lose their life due to illness, that's sad enough. But when you know it's something that could be prevented, we have to make sure we have the right laws, right education, things in place to try and minimize that as great as possible. No parent ever wants to bury a child. No one wants to lose a loved one of any age. And that really is exclusively, absolutely what this is all about. So we've passed that in the Senate. We're hoping Harvey Wiesenberg can pass that in the Assembly. And I'm hopeful that with a lot of parents working towards that, PTAs, law enforcement groups, AAA, many others, we can get something done in that House to deter this from happening. It'll save lives all across the state if I believe it goes into place.
Well, Senator Robach, I want to thank you very much for your time this week, and I'm sure you will be following up with our viewers on what the Assembly does with texting while driving, with the property tax cap, and the state spending cap.
Absolutely.
Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon.